Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Once again, we're going to be doing another superhero. Today is going to be a female hero that I created. So I've already done two videos, so if you haven't had a chance to check those out, please do. Um, and again, just kind of a brief preface to this. About 11 years ago, in an effort to try to get the creative juices going at my day job, I did what one of my professors at college called a doodle of day. And so each day I would create a new superhero. And now, 11 years later, I've decided to kind of redraw and expand the backstories and power and abilities of some of these heroes. But today we are going to be covering a hero that I called the Cosplay Chic. So here was the original doodle for her. Once again, just I look at these now after 11 years and I'm like, woofa, these are bad. But again, these were 2 to 3 minute little doodles, and it. This was the original doodle for her. So let's jump into the redo 11 years later. Little brief snippet there, but so once again with this character, she's a kind of a warrior goddess, warrior princess kind of a thing. So I kind of wanted to, and she's always got this enormous sword. So I was trying to really incorporate that sword. And one of the other things too is I have a bit of a difficulty when it comes to drawing women. They're, with men, they're an easier animal to draw. They're a lot, they're just simple and blocky and stuff like that. But usually with guys, guys have a certain level of, forgiveness when it comes to drawing them. Whereas with a woman, if you wanted to make them look attractive and beautiful, you got to be sure like eyes are spaced and nose is right and all that. Because if you do something wrong with a woman, it's like, ugh, she looks like a toad or something like that. And you're just like, oh, geez, I got to redraw her. So with this one, I sat and noodled for quite a while. It doesn't really show it here in the sketches, or in this video, but I spent quite a bit of time just kind of really reworking her face and making sure everything looked great and, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, and then had fun with the sword with the cool little runes in it and stuff like that. So, but with her, she's pretty much about the same as her doodle. The only thing I really added from over the last 11 years was just the sword. The original doodle, she didn't have any weapons. It was just, her as a warrior princess kind of a thing. So, but in the backstory and powers and abilities, we'll get into why she's called the Cosplay Chic. So, but moving on to the color phase now. But as you can see, if you've at least watched the two prior videos, I've kind of took a lot of inspiration and kind of made it a requisite in creating these heroes is naming them in a way that like Stan Lee would name them. He was kind of notorious for doing not a lot with like the names of the heroes, but like their real names, like Peter Parker and what were some others, Matt Murdock and Bruce Banner and what are some other heroes? Tony Stark, I guess, was one that kind of broke the barrier there. But I'm trying to think of other heroes. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm is interesting. That one doesn't, but Reed Richards does, and Sue Storm, but anyway, yeah, there's just a lot of he was kind of notorious for using the same letters. So as you can see with the Cosplay Chick and Axe Assassin and Cosmic Cadet and all that kind of stuff, I kind of tried to keep that as a requisite in designing these. So right now I'm just, as you can see in the drawing, I'm just kind of like noodling on her nose. I wasn't in love with it, and at some point I just had to give up on it because I was like, if I noodle any longer, I'm just going to ruin it. So, but I think she turned out okay. Not the best, but it was it'll work. So, but anywho, so yeah, here is the I'll pull up the final image here. So here's the final image for the Cosplay Chic. Get into the powers and abilities here. So the Cosplay Chic. So her real name down in the bottom left-hand corner is Elizabeth Simpson. She's about 5'4", weighs about 107 pounds. So, and that would be her non-transformed form. So when we get into her powers and abilities, you'll see what I mean. So for her backstory, Elizabeth Simpson was like any other sci-fi and fantasy enthusiast. She loved to dress up and show off her skills as a cosplay warrior. But her life changed forever the day she finally scored her ticket to San Diego Comic-Con. For weeks, Elizabeth toiled over her best costume yet, a handcrafted outfit inspired by a warrior goddess. While attending the convention, she accidentally bumped into none other than Stan the Man Lee. In that brief fatal encounter, Stan received a small cut and a drop of his blood landed on Elizabeth's arm bracer. Now imbued with mystic powers of Stan Lee's blood, the bracer grants Elizabeth superhuman abilities whenever she wears it. Upon discovering her newfound powers, she set out to help others, often joining forces with fellow heroes on missions of courage and compassion. She has teamed up many times with the Axe Assassin, and rumors has it she's developed a bit of a soft spot for him, so a little bit of romance going on there. But now on to her powers and abilities. Liz's powers all stem from the mystically imbued arm bracer. When worn, the bracer grants incredible abilities to its bearer. The first signs of her powers appeared the night of her fateful encounter, when a few overly aggressive attendees tried to corner her at Comic-Con. Liz suddenly found herself instinctively using multiple advanced combat techniques, dispatching the would-be assailants with ease. Shocked by what she had done, she fled the scene, only to realize she had covered several city blocks in mere seconds. While running back to her hotel, several miles away, she noticed she was easily keeping pace with the cars speeding down the adjacent freeway. Once back in her room, Liz began testing her abilities. She discovered, in addition to her combat abilities, that she could lift an empty dump truck weighing nearly 15 tons, sprint at speeds between 80 to 100 miles per hour, and that no sharp object she could find could pierce her skin. So once again, she gained some pretty amazing powers just from a small drop of Stan the Man Lee's blood. So once again, we can see that she's pretty strong, super durable. Stamina, she can hold her own for probably a couple hours, more than really any human could. She doesn't have much in the way of energy projection. She can't shoot any beams out of her eyes or out of her hands. Basic intelligence of a woman her age, college graduate, nothing overly superior. But and then speed, obviously she can run as fast as a car going on the freeway, so she's pretty dang fast. So once again, she's got the powers, so that she can fight alongside the Axe Assassin. So, but yeah, another thing, I don't know if it was made that clear, but also when she wears this, she's imbued with like knowledge that she's never had before of just like combat styles. And so she's able to, fight as a warrior that she wouldn't otherwise be able to do if not wearing the bracer. So, but yeah, so that is the Cosplay Chic. Again, tune in for tomorrow. There'll be hopefully another hero drop. And if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the other hero videos, please tune in to check those guys out. And we'll catch you in the next video.